Okay, I will try to keep my blabbing to a minimum. It probably goes without saying that this is such a special video for me to get to make. As many of you know, probably by the countless Reb Beach videos I've made over the years, I am a huge Reb Beach, not fan, super fan. Reb has just had an incredible impact on me as a player. He is an amazing guitarist. I've always looked up to the way that he played guitar. And getting to hang out with him a little bit last month, I met him in Chicago at a Winger show. I took my guitar with me and had him sign the cavity here. And I just told him, I said, man, if you're ever in Nashville, I would love to do an interview. And fast forward to today, it turns out he was going to be here for one day. He literally came straight from the airport here. Such a nice guy. Played my guitar the whole time, which made it 1,000 times more cool for me. He probably didn't even think about that, but I'm like, dude, you're playing my guitar. This is even cooler. And I just wanted to make the interview that I always wanted from Reb. I wanted to cover the majority, or just kind of touch on his whole career from before Winger. He's gonna show us a bunch of really cool riffs. Of course, Cutting Loose, Black Magic. There's some like deep Reb nerdy stuff in here too, from back in his forum days. I was on there. Like I said, I've been there since the beginning, and talk about Dokken, Erase the Slate, so many things in here. So I hope you guys enjoy the video, and most important of all, thank you, Reb, for taking time out of your busy schedule, man, to come here and hang out and just talk about guitar. I really did appreciate it. So without further ado, this one's for all the Reb Beach fans out there. I hope you enjoy the video. Reb, thank you so much for making the trek up here, doing the video. You're in town, but dude, I appreciate it.
It was my pleasure. It's like kind of this fluke that you and I met, because friends of mine who play guitar, students of mine, said, you got to see this guy Robert Baker. He's speaking very highly of you, and he's playing your stuff, and he's telling people that you're, write cool riffs. And so I watched it, and I wanted to reach out to you. And this was only, like a month ago, and I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta reach out to that guy and make a video for him or something. And then you showed up at a Winger show, so that just, that the stars were all aligned, and it told me like you gotta come to this guy's house and jam with him.
Dude, I appreciate it. I just fairly recently, got that guitar that you're playing and stuff, and
this is a good one too. It's
turned into one of my absolute. Everybody who comes over here. Can I play your Reb? Everybody wants to play it. Everybody, they know I have it, and then they're like, my buddy Ryan's like, man, this Reb, I go, you gotta get one. I go, you have to get one.
That's kind of cool. That's the short name for it. I just bought a Reb.
One of the first things I wanted to talk about before we get into Winger and the Mob and Black Swan and all that stuff was you did so much studio stuff that you really didn't get credit for prior to Winger.
I can tell you kind of the story of it.
Yeah.
So what happened was I had a friend who lived in New York City, and I was just hungry to make it, and I wasn't going to make it in Pittsburgh. And I was playing in a top 40 band in Florida, and I was playing Jump on the keyboards every night, and it just wasn't going anywhere. So I moved to New York City, and I hung around at 48th Street at all those guitar stores there. And I just jammed with guys that would come in and, you know, the people that worked there and everything. And eventually I heard about an audition for Fiona on Atlantic Records. And the audition was out in Long Island. I went out there and everyone had like spandex on, all the other guys at the audition, and their big hair was teased and everything. And it was my turn to go in and play. And I went in and all the guys were wearing exactly what I'm wearing now. And this is what I've been wearing since I was, you know, 15 years old. And they said, if you can play guitar, you got the gig. So I got the gig. I didn't know how to get a sound from a Marshall. I had never really seen a Marshall before. So Kane Roberts was in the studio next door. And he showed me where you put the knobs, you know. And then I did the album in 2 weeks. And it was time to get paid, and Beau Hill came up to me and he said, Reb, it's time to get paid. I don't want to insult you, but how does $500 sound? And I was like, great, $500? That's great, because I was just totally broke, and you know, it should have been $5,000. But I wasn't in the union, and you know, he knew I was a newbie and everything. The good news is that he told all the other producers at Atlantic about me. So Arif Mardin, and other guys. He said, look, there's this guy, and he's great to work with, he plays great, and he'll do your album for $500. So, you know, word got around I did Shaka Khan and Howard Jones, and, you know, and then eventually I figured out I got in the union, but I was the go-to guy. See, the reason I was lucky is because that was the year that Beat It came out with Eddie Van Halen's solo on the Michael Jackson thing. And so all these big Atlantic artists wanted a Van Halen solo on their album, and I was the guy to play the Van Halen solo on their album. That's how I did, you know, all those sessions.
So by that point, did you already kind of have your style of tapping down, or was it like a little bit different at that point?
It wasn't quite to where, you know, because doing sessions, they don't want all that fast crap,
right?
You know, so you know, it's kind of toned down on that session work that I did. You know, it's more just melodic rock playing with an occasional stab in there. You know, a la like Lukather. You know, where you can tell the guy can play really fast if he wants to, you know.
He's just waiting.
Yeah.
That was one of the things I was going to ask, because I think that you have one of the most unique ways of tapping that wasn't like the Eddie Van Halen clone style. But at what point did you develop that, and how long did it take you to get to where it was fluid, where you were kind of doing these cascading runs across the fretboard?
It was when I went to Berkeley. Alan Holdsworth was the king. Everyone was listening to the Dixie Dregs. And that's Berkeley in Boston, the music college. And so I didn't really get much from the classes because it was all jazz back then, and they shunned on, you know, rock and roll. They were not into it. But I learned from other musicians, and of course listening to stuff, and I wanted that Alan Holdsworth sound. So I really worked on it when I was at Berkeley to try and develop it to be a more fluid thing, more like a saxophone, being able to go all the way up a scale, and with just, you know, like a minor thing. And that's it. That's what made me do it, because I really got into the jazz fusion thing for a while.
Some people kind of do like a hammer-on from nowhere, or like they just hammer on and don't pick the note and then tap. But when you're plucking the string, it gives it a different sound, how smooth it all kind of just rounds out the sound.
It just made sense to me. I wanted to go up, and I never use my pinky when I play, very rarely. And so here I was. How do I get the next note, which is this, in E minor? It just made sense because my ring finger's already there. It's sitting right there on top of the string, basically. All I have to do is just flick it like that. So it just completely made sense to do that, you know, but Joe Satriani doesn't have to do that. He can just use one hand to do that, you know. So that's kind of, it just came to me, and I practiced it, you know. And then also, when you see guys tap, most of the time they just go like this. And these are random notes. There's bad notes in there that aren't actually in the scale, usually.
You have seen me do this.
Well, no, I'm sure you're better than that. You know, and it's all down. It's all going down. They don't realize that it goes up and down. You know, and there's a rhythm to it. So it just has to be more musical. And when I go to the next string, I go to the next note down or up in the scale rather than the same note that I just played. So it sounds more like a, you know, kind of thing.
Yeah, it is very saxophone-y, kind of the way my son plays saxophone, so I'm so used to like listening to that stuff now.
It's my favorite instrument.
Yeah, it's such a cool.
Well, maybe guitar is my favorite instrument, but the second favorite instrument.
Where did you get all, like your groove and pocket was one of the things that I always thought set you apart. You didn't like just pedal on the notes, it'd be like this rhythm to the notes that you were playing at, and you kind of incorporate that into your tapping. It's not just a blur of notes, usually it's a rhythm that you're kind of like flowing in and out of stuff.
Well, I try and be melodic even if I'm playing fast, you know. You play fast, but then you can kind of hang on one note for a beat or two, you know. Or not two, just one, you know. Like, so it's more musical that way, you know. If you're just going, it just gets boring. You have to go, you know, and then different, you need different rhythms, you know. Like, you know who does that great? Jack Black. He's so good at that. He writes the best guitar riffs with his mouth, you know. I'm terrible at it, but you know what I mean. He's amazing at that. But I try and put different rhythmic things, like Jimi Hendrix had one that I always use, and it's this. It looks really easy, but it's kind of harder than you think, because you have to bar these two. But if you're just jamming, all of a sudden the rhythm just, it goes back, you know, and it's so cool.
Well, so you said Jimmy. Who are some of the other guys that you
And Jimmy, I'm not influenced by Jimmy at all. Even I did not like Jimi Hendrix. I didn't know anything about Jimi Hendrix, but I'm influenced by so many guitar players that were influenced by him. Mm-hmm. It was just before my time. I was born in '63. Yeah. And so when I was coming of age learning guitar in 13, it was 1976. And it was Peter Frampton, it was Ronnie Montrose, you know, Van Halen. I mean, they're all the best guitar players came out when I was learning guitar. Yeah. You know, Joe Perry.
I was going to say, were you big into Aerosmith?
I was. It wasn't Joe Perry. I found out later that it wasn't actually Joe Perry that played the solos that I thought were the greatest solos of all time, like Train Kept a Rollin' and stuff like that. But, you know, those Aerosmith albums, huge influence on my phrasing, you know. But I love Joe Perry's style. Nobody sounds like Joe Perry, you know. He's kind of just Mr. Cool. He's unbelievable. He has the coolest style. And Brad Whitford, though, played, you know, No More, No More, and there's such great Brad Whitford solos. Who else? You know, all those 70s guitar players. There's so many of them. Jean-Luc Ponty was a violin player. And when I started getting into my fusion-y stuff, I loved his solos. It really kind of stole a little vibe from him, you know. And, you know, I guess I'm most influenced by Southern rock. You know, everyone says, boy, that solo In It All comes back around on 7, the last Winger record. Yeah. You know, that's like my favorite solo. That's an amazing solo. It's like, I just totally went the Outlaws, you know, just super melodic, something that really goes with the rhythms, and then just do a bow-da-doodle, you know, like one of those licks over it for a while. It's kind of like a trance. It puts you in a trance of a lick, you know. Totally. I always love that, like Freebird kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know,
oh,
like when
yeah.
a lick just keeps happening and it works over the changes underneath it. That always does it for me.
Yeah, I love all that stuff. That's funny to hear the Southern.
I learned from Molly Hatchet. That's how I learned.
Oh, I was literally about to say like Molly Hatchet. Southern?
That's how I learned guitar.
Wow.
I got that the year it came out, and I was playing acoustic before that, you know, and then I started playing electric, and then my mom bought me the first Molly Hatchet album, which I learned it note for note because those solos were so easy, yet they were good melodies, and you know the vibrato was good, and I played it over and over, 6 hours a day. I played guitar.
Yeah.
You know.
I love Molly Hatchet.
Me too. I do too.
Absolutely love Molly Hatchet.
Yeah, I had one of the great honors. I had a lot of like, you know, top 5 moments. No, I had 5 top 5 moments, but one of them was Danny Joe Brown, man. He put his arm around me and he did the foot stomp. You know, yeah, and we did a jam, Cinderella. I was opening for Cinderella, and they did a big jam at the end. So I got to jam with Danny Joe Brown, and you know, that was one of those great things that happened.
Man, well, and I want to ask about the fusion demos here in a little bit too, because I loved all that stuff. It's back in the day, you used to have a forum on your website. And
it's funny. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I was in there, and I remember someone asking about how to play 17, and I commented, I'm like, I think Reb's doing it like this, and you would hop in the chat and respond to people, and he'd be like, no, I'm playing it like this.
I might remember you from then. I mean, were you called Robert Baker?
I would think it would have been like R. Baker or something.
Yeah,
something like that.
No, because when I first started that, there was only like 10 people on that thing. And I didn't know that the internet went all over the world. I just thought it was just kind of, you know, Pittsburgh and, you know, the surrounding areas. So I'd comment on it every day and just have conversations. It was before Facebook and all that, so yeah. So I was on there all the time, and there was really good people on that forum too. Yeah. It was a really good hang.
Yeah, because we didn't have YouTube and stuff. So when you chimed in and you're like, no, 17's all upstrokes.
Yeah.
You know, we're like...
Is it? It is.
This is kind of off track from what I was going to ask, but you had a VHS cutting loose that was like really important to me, but then you had another one that was a DVD called Homegrown.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like early days of internet still kind of, so I could not get my mom to like buy it because she wouldn't put her credit card information. So I never got it. I've scoured the internet.
I have a copy. No, but it's VHS though.
That's yeah.
I might have a DVD.
Here recently I scoured and I'm like, nobody has ever uploaded this footage. Like I can't buy a copy anywhere.
It's so weird. It's not on YouTube. It just doesn't exist.
It doesn't
exist.
Weird. And I never got to see what it was.
Oh, you never got to see it?
I've never seen it, and it has driven me crazy for 20 years.
There's some funny stuff in there.
Is
you
it?
know? Yeah, like it's really homegrown. Like it's me in my car, like I'm singing a Carole King song
Really?
as I'm driving. You know, it probably was pretty dangerous, but yeah. I mean, I don't remember everything in it, but I remember people really liked that one because it's in my house. It's in my garage.
So with the Winger albums, I want to talk about some of that stuff because how long did it take to record those? Like the first one, because they came out, it was 88 and then 90 and 93, but how long was the recording process for each of those?
I mean, months.
Months?
Yeah. I mean, it just feels like months because we had to write it as well. So, I mean, sometimes it would just take a year. Like the first album, you know, it took a long time to write that stuff. Second album even longer than the first album. I tell you what, the first album we wrote really fast, come to think of it. It took a while to record. I don't remember how many months it took to record. You know, it was $300 an hour, or not an hour, $300. I think it was $100 an hour. It's like $300 every 3 hours, which was a lot back then. You know, to record.
But that would be like thousands.
Right. So we tried to do it as quickly as we could. That's a Kip question, but I know that In the Heart of the Young, that took a long time.
Yeah, that's still my favorite.
Really?
Wing. I love that album because, like, Baptize My Fire is one of my favorite riffs. When it has that tapping intro, and then that next riff, I'm like, what a cool riff.
That is a cool riff. It's a cool song.
Yeah. And
Kip tried to rap in it, too, which it wasn't bad.
No, the whole thing, I was just like, it's just such a cool album because it was different.
It was different.
It seemed like you guys were trying a lot of different stuff.
Yeah.
So then my next question was, were all of your solos composed, or did you have like little bits and pieces of ideas and then you just kind of improvised the rest?
No, they're not. The way I do it is, it's always the same. I will do a take, and you're hoping that you get something usable in the first couple of takes. Because if you don't, it means that you might have a hard time with it.
Yeah.
And it only happens once in a while when you play over something and you just are like, this sucks to play over, you know. Luckily with Winger, we write the solo sections so that it's good to jam over.
Yeah.
You know?
That was one of the things I was
you
gonna
want to
ask.
talk about. And so what you need is an intro and an outro. So the first thing is the intro. What do you start with? And usually it's something like, you know, or like, you know, or just like something. So it might be something fast, you know, but some fast lick or something.
Yeah.
But you need an intro, and so then you just take it from there. I'm good at improvising, so I'll do a take, and then I'll say, well, that part is not good, so let's just go in there. I'll just keep it until it starts sucking, and then I'll go in there and continue recording. And it goes pretty fast.
Wow, that's really... Yeah. I was expecting you to say that, because they feel so like in tune with what's happening behind them. Like it feels like a composed solo, but it's more improvised.
You know, when you're just there, it's just me and Kip, and you know, I kind of just go off into na-na land, and I'm just trying to make it as musical as possible. And make it go with, like you're saying, go with what's there. You know, if it's a slow song, I try and do pretty slow melodies, and if it's a fast song, I just go crazy on the whammy bar and try and make it pop off the record somehow.
That's cool. And so, how involved was Kip in the solos? Did he kind of more let you do?
It's so funny. You know, there's a ton of solos where he's not that involved, but whenever he'd do the making of, he would only use the parts where he came up with the solo parts. Play this. I'll try this over here now. Try this. Give me that guitar. Try this note. No, he is a big part of my solos when I'm working with Winger, for sure.
That's
because
cool.
He really knows if it's bad or good. Mm-hmm. He's like, keep going. Try it again.
But you need to have someone like that. Too.
I do, because I don't know sometimes.
I was going to ask if you would show us how to actually play some of the Winger riffs. The one being Cutting Loose, which isn't a Winger riff, it's a Reb riff. But that was the first thing you told me, that I was playing it in a more difficult way than how it's actually played.
Yeah. I don't know how you played it, but it's actually a really open riff. And I was really young when I came up with it, and I was messing around with open strings. Mm-hmm. So I always love this D chord because it's in a million songs. What is it? Right. So I love that open E, and then I always love moving the D up to the 5th fret. Thought that was a cool interval.
Yeah.
And then I heard this, na na na. That was cool, right?
Yeah.
And then I heard these notes. And it's just a chord. It's just an F chord. Uh-oh, we're out of tune? An F chord, and then I just did the open G instead. And I wanted that note, and the only way to get that note was to use my pinky. So I just tried to try and make those notes ring out as long as you can, and you have to make an arc on your fingers to do that, you know?
Yeah.
You have to make a conscious effort to just be as archy as possible. But the other cool thing about that song was that, you know, I was 15 and I wanted to write...
You wrote that when you were 15?
Yeah. I wanted to write a rhythm that had whammy bar in it, because I had just gotten my first whammy bar when Brad Gillis came out with Don't Tell Me You Love Me. That was one of the first videos on MTV, and when I saw that, I rushed out and bought a G&L with a whammy bar on it, which were really cool guitars back then. And I wrote this. Right? But I always thought that was cool. Like, yeah, there's a whammy bar in the rhythm, because you don't usually hear a whammy bar in the rhythm. I mean, you have to mute. You have to mute with this palm a lot.
Yeah.
You know, muting is the key to my playing. You know, everything is about the muting. And then, you know, when I was a kid, I just practiced. That's all I did was play guitar.
Black Magic was the next one I was going to ask you about, because after the intro, kind of like that pentatonic intro thing, how do you play the riff after that one? Because there's the solo lead.
The rhythm.
Yeah, the rhythm over it.
Well, that's a great question, Robert. No one's ever asked me that. And thank you. It's cool. I love stuff, any riff that has like a pedal note. Because when I was a kid, it sounded like it was a whole band just in my guitar, you know? So I would always try and write stuff in E or A.
Yeah.
But I learned how to kind of press down on the chord like a bass player would do to accentuate it, you know, and you're muting it when you're not playing it by just resting your finger on there. This is how I play an E. This is a rock way to play an E, rock way to play an A.
Yeah.
Obviously you don't play an A chord like this. That's the folk way. The reason for that is so you can go... Right? But anyway, so you play it like this, but while I'm playing the rhythm, I'm just pushing down on the second fret anytime that I'm playing it. So I'm going, and I'm just pushing down on jump, right? Yeah, and I do that a lot. See, when I do the chugging, I'm muting everything else.
Yeah.
But I only hit that chord, I press down on it when I'm playing it.
Watching your right hand's really interesting, how you're palm muting it, and you go up, but you're always doing it at an angle. Yeah, see? Yeah. I think stuff like that's really fascinating, because you get more, you're like scraping more across the strings or something like that. It just sounds like it has more attitude whenever you're doing it that way.
Thanks.
It's cool. And then now I had some of the winger riffs that I was going to ask you about. And the first one was Time to Surrender.
That's a good one.
Because one of, I think, your signature things that I always loved was you took kind of like smaller power chords that would be on the D and the G, but made them sound so big and aggressive.
Fifths.
Yeah.
It's 1-5, you know, what is it? It's 1-5-1. I mean, I got that from Lynch, you know, and Judas Priest. This That's just a great chord. I've written, hungry, bunch of.
I'm gonna ask about that one too.
Yeah, it's the same thing. So yeah, so Time to Surrender. Here's an example of me pressing in on those chords. It's supposed to be love open strings. Oh, and this. Example of the winger question and answer thing, where every riff doesn't do the same thing twice. And I think I saw a video of you saying that in your video, that it's cool that Reb doesn't do the same thing twice, And I was like, how did he pick up on that? No one's ever picked up on that. I thought that was so cool. But yeah, so in the riff. Oh, no, but it's, everyone thinks it's that, but it's, that's a downbeat. Dun, dun.
Yeah.
Is that a downbeat? One, dun, dun. 1, 2, whatever. The second one's push. Na, da, 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 right? And also, the question is, that's the question. Now it needs an answer at the end of the next part.
Yep.
That's the, the end,
That's
of the riff, right? You just need, it can't be the same. If it was that again, it wouldn't be as cool. If I did that twice, it would suck. It has to be something else.
Yeah, well, because what is it?
But it's the same way in every section, so. That's number one, then. That's the second one. So it just needs, we're always changing every single one.
Yeah, it's a call and answer the whole time.
That's it. Call and answer is better than question and answer.
That's interesting because you play I'm glad I asked the question because you played that verse riff and when you did the open string, so I'm like, oh, I always played it lower. I didn't do open strings. I played it
down here.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
But then you can't leave
Yeah.
it open.
Yeah. That's really interesting to see that. As soon as you played that, I'm like, oh. And then I was going to ask another good example of that style of riff is like In for the Kill.
Oh, wow, In for the Kill. That's a sexy song. I love that riff, man.
Oh.
F sharp over D.
That's all that was.
Yeah. So you play that G with your thumb.
It's just nasty sounding.
And yeah, it's a good riff.
That's a killer riff. Hungry? Because there's a chord in the main riff. I've seen a lot of people play it two different ways. And then when we were in Chicago, you played it. I'm like, so that's how you do it. It's like that kind of like D chord inversion.
Same thing.
Yeah, but different at the same time.
Well, but different.
Yeah.
D minor.
Yeah, there it is. Right there.
It's actually D minor 7 with an A in the bass. And I wiggle chords.
Always.
Always I wiggle chords.
It's hard to do because either your right hand or left hand's always doing something.
It's just, if you've got your thumb there, you can do it. But Yep, different turnaround every time in every Winger song, in every lick. Same thing with Black Swan.
So, Reb, was there ever a lick that changed your life?
So, sort of, yeah, because it's funny you mentioned that. There was a guy who was painting our house, and he played guitar. And he picked up my guitar, and he was showing me stuff. And he said, this riff changed my life. Believe it or not.
Wait,
and it was just the Chuck Berry riff, which is just this. You just, in E, you just bar the 12th fret on the B and E string and go. You just bend that 14th fret G string right up to the note on the B string. Right? Now you say, why is that cool? Well, I'm like, what if you add a hammer onto that or a pull-off? Right? So if I play it, that's Freebird, right?
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, think of all the other pull-offs you can do on the E string and the B string on the 15th fret. There's a lot of stuff. You can just so if you watch me play, this is my go-to. That's where I start. That's where I always go back to square one, and that's square one for me. This is interesting. So if I show this to a guitar player, play this riff. And I've given lessons to really, really good guitar players. And I'm like, play this. They do it, but they pick every note.
Yeah.
Right? And they can only do it so fast. Well, here's what I do. I just go, I hammer on that G string.
Oh, you're not picking it at all.
I only pick, here's me picking. That's what I'm picking.
That's interesting.
That's it. It's all just, it probably sounds like... this thing does nothing. It's all in this hand and it's all just,
but you
it's
have
total
a really,
cheating.
You have a really strong left hand, though. From all the legato-y tapping stuff.
But only on these 3 fingers, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it gets less strong as I age.
Well,
I've seen videos of me when I was young, and I was, a lot faster then. My brain was, not sludgy.
it's just sludge brain.
Sludge brain.
Well, I'm sure you've never been asked about this song before, but I was going to ask about 17.
There's not a lot of videos of me playing 17. There's not. There really isn't.
I mean, you did one with, and I don't know the guy's name.
That guy. I did one with that guy.
Masters of Shred. I feel bad that I don't know his name, but he's here in town, but I've never met him.
It's escaping me, but he's a nice guy. Masters of Shred dude.
Is it Derek?
Yes.
Derek, okay. So how do you play, going back to the Reb Forum Days, how do you play 17 the correct way?
Okay, well, let me just remind myself. So you're always playing the low, you're always playing that A string that's fretting the E on the 7th fret, right? Everyone thinks that I put my pinky on the 11th fret on the G string right away. That's not what it is. I would never write that. That's just not cool. dun, 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 dun. Like, that's not as cool as what it actually is, which is that's pretty.
Yeah.
La 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 la. That's very, sorry it's not, heavy metal, but I like things that are melodically cool. But you have to be hitting this every other time because a lot of people go but
Yeah.
it's da 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 da. So the way you do that real slow. So don't dun 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 dun. That third note is actually an E, not an F sharp. That's the secret.
Okay.
And is there anything else that people want?
That was my favorite riff.
I love that.
I love the intro. That was my favorite riff though.
That's the verse, and I loved it because I use you don't have to use the open D, but I like the way it sounds. Instead of it's clunkier this way. I like the open D because you can kind of bend that.
Yeah.
Wiggle that. It's in the da da. It's not da da. That's terrible, right?
Yep.
It's da da. It's just a sharp da da. Right.
Man, okay. Well, thank you for showing us that, because, yeah, the second riff was always, like, the intro was always super cool to me, and I liked it, but I'm like, but that next riff has, like, sass on it, all the shakes, and then...
Sass is a good word, yeah.
Back then, you were playing Ibanez at the time, but this probably wasn't too far off from when you got your Pensa, Suhr, was it?
Well, no. I got my Pensa Suhr in 1986.
Oh, so you already had it for all the... Oh, because you said it was on the first Winger album.
It's on the first Winger album.
Yeah.
And I was doing Twisted Sister at the time. I remember buying the guitar and being so thrilled. I paid $1,800 for the Pensa Suhr that looked exactly like this, and I fell in love with it. I played it for months until I took out the loan to buy it, and I took it back, and Dee Schneider took one look at it, and he said, "Man, that's not rock and roll." He said, "That looks like a coffee table." And he's kind of right, it does, but it's, I love a beautiful piece of wood. Growing up, my mom had good taste, and so I always loved beautiful wood furniture, and it always stuck out to me. It still does. When I walk into a music store and I see this hanging on the wall, it sticks right out. It's just a natural, beautiful thing.
Yeah. Guitar Center had another one. They just got one in not too long ago, but it already sold. And it had a crazy top on it.
Sometimes, it's just potluck.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get one that's insane, and sometimes one is really heavy, and sometimes it's light. You just never know.
Is there ever going to be like an RBM 1 or like WRV kind of like re-release of any kind? Does Ibanez just own the...
It'd be nice before I died, I would like to have like a, just do a reissue of that the Koa model.
Yeah.
Because it was a great guitar. All I did was I just took this guitar and I drew it on a napkin on an airplane flying in to meet Mace Bailey at Ibanez to design my new guitar, and I cut this out. I put extra, because I'm taking all that wood out, I put extra wood on the horns so they'd be pointy horns. And then I beveled. Do you have one?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I beveled that so this kind of went in, and it ended up being a great design because...
It's a cool guitar.
Well, and
I don't have the Koa one, but...
The Koa one is the one.
Yeah.
But it looked cool, and I don't know why that one doesn't have a mirror. Usually they have mirrors.
Yeah, some of them didn't. It doesn't have the EMGs either.
Oh, it was. I guess
I think this was like the lowest.
The low dollar one.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, it didn't need a guitar stand, which I thought was cool.
Yeah. Which
it stands up on its own.
You can't see it. I'm demonstrating it off to the side right now.
Right.
But then the W, your Explorer-y looking one, that was my favorite. I'm like...
It's cool.
It's such a cool guitar.
It's funny. The one that they made me sounded like crap. It sounded so bad. I just used it for Hungry, and that was it. But they made 100 of them in Japan, and they were beautiful. They sounded so good. Really, really cool, and they're super rare. The Voyagers now are going for $15,000-$20,000. The Koa ones.
There's one available right now on Reverb. It's in Hong Kong, I think, and it's 19,000. Yeah.
Gee whiz.
I mean, yeah, you do not find them. Like, trust me, I've looked, and when they pop up, I'm like, I don't have $20,000 to spend on a guitar.
Right.
Yes, I was just curious if there was ever a chance that those would come back.
I would think one day we'll just do it, just for fun.
Yeah, even if it's just like 100 of each or something, just some kind of special run. Because I mean, I think those are like iconic guitars. I mean, nothing else looks like them.
I think it's a cool shape. I really do. I like that mirror. Mm-hmm. The reason I had the mirror is because it was cool when you were in an arena with a spotlight on you. It's like you had your own spotlight, and I'd pick all the hot chicks and just shoot them in the eye, and they'd giggle, and, it's like, yeah, and it looked like a laser, too. It was like, this is so cool,
Which John Suhr was not a fan of the
He didn't like the mirror. I mean, I got the idea from Paul Stanley. He had that mirrored... Iceman.
Yeah.
And the light would bounce off of that, and he would just shine and just look like he had his own spotlight. It was so cool.
It's so
but
cool.
no, John Suhr didn't like it because, you got a beautiful piece of wood, and you're just going to put like a sheet of gold on top of gorgeous wood. It just didn't sit right with it, especially on the one that I have that's a maple top. It's the Peter Frampton model with that mirror on it. Mm-hmm. I love that guitar, but the mirror does seem like, one of these things is not like the other.
Well, so then this kind of brings us to Erase the Slate, which that track on its own, wicked riff.
Thanks. Yeah, they had some songs that were kind of Beatlesy.
Really?
When I came in, they were, they'd been through all kinds of problems and everything, and they just were writing some kind of Beatlesy songs. They had lost their way, as far as I was concerned, because I was a huge Dokken fan. Mm-hmm. I was cranking, what was that second album, the record with In My Dreams and all that?
Lock and Key?
Under Lock and Key. I was cranking Under Lock and Key, going to Hoboken, writing the Winger record. And I'm like, come on, you guys. You gotta be Dokken. Dokken is that's Dokken. You kiss him down. You need that's what it's gotta be.
Yeah.
So they had this song Erase the Slate, and Erase the Slate. They no. So I said, give me that overnight, and I took it overnight, and I wrote a riff, a Dokken riff. And I've seen people play the riff online, and playing it, and it's I don't know what they're doing. It's nothing like it. It's so easy. It's stupid easy. It's open strings. Anytime I can cheat, I cheat. The riff is. So all it is just, and I don't, it's just like that lick I showed you. I just go, oh, sorry. What is it? It feels weird when you play it. So you pick this note, hammer this note on the, what is that, 9th fret, E string, low E string. You hammer it. And then, do you pull it? No, you have to hit the open A string. So I'm hammering this note on the 9th fret, low E string. So all those notes, it's just me on the A string. I'm not touching the low E.
Really?
You're just playing the A string and that's it.
What a funky riff.
It's cool. It's fun to play. The first show I did with them, somebody threw one of those 1998 Air Jordan pumps at me, and it just went BAP and hit me in the face, and they went, "Where's George?" So that was rough. But they ended up liking me because I played the solos from the album, you know, and George just would kind of improvise over all that stuff. He never really played the stuff from the album, you know.
Yeah.
So I think people liked that about it. They got used to me pretty quick.
Which then kind of brings us to like the fusion demos and Masquerade. Because I remember seeing those, again, on your website, and I couldn't get them, but you had little clips, like people could test listen to them.
Yeah, it's on, you know, iTunes now, but you know, the fusion demos were fusion demos.
Yeah.
It's stuff I did back in Hoboken, maybe pre-Winger, some of that stuff. Yeah. And I was thinking when Winger went under, like all the 80s bands did in 93 when Nirvana came out, and, you know, we got it harder than anyone else, really.
Yeah,
with Beavis and Butthead and all that.
Unfair.
But yeah, it was overnight. So I'm like, hey, I can be like a Joe Satriani guy and just do like my kind of fusion record. And no one was interested. No one wanted to touch it.
There's really
I sent
cool
it to
stuff
Japan,
on it.
and they're like, you know, no vocal, we need vocal.
Really?
So it just sat in my closet forever until 1 year Kip Winger said, whatever happened to that fusion stuff you did? I'm like, I don't know, sitting somewhere in my computer. And he said, do an album of that stuff. So I did View from the Inside. Masquerade, always wanted to sing something, you know, and not deal with a lead singer. Not that Kip is bad to deal with, but I just wanted my own thing, you know. So I was very proud of that album. I really did everything. I produced it and wrote everything, but I had a budget. I had a $30,000 budget from Universal in Japan. Oh. So that was why I was able to, you know, make it sound cool. It's good. It's a little bit dark because that's what the time was. You know, it was kind of that dark music was in.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say it sounds. I think it's one of your most different sounding things.
I never should have sang through a distortion pedal. I messed up with that because I was nervous about my vocal. But otherwise, it's good. Yeah.
It's a killer album. If anybody doesn't have it, you know.
It's a good album. There's happy songs and wicked rock songs too. I put a couple pop songs on there just because I wanted to show I'm a songwriter.
Yeah.
You know, primarily.
No, it was cool. Which then takes us to, and if anybody, you can't find the album unless you want to pay a whole bunch.
The Mob.
The Mob. Hard. Another one, I could not get my mom to order it for me.
It doesn't exist. It's out of print.
Yeah, you can't find them anywhere.
Is it on iTunes?
No,
Oh,
nowhere.
my Lord.
Someone uploaded it to YouTube, and you can listen to the full album. But that had that was just some of your coolest riffs and stuff.
No, thanks.
Tucked in there, and solos, and
those are riffs I had lying around. And Frontiers approached me to make a record. They said, who do you want to record with? Like, who's your dream singer? I said, Doug Pinnick. You know, and they said, no, let's try this guy, you know, Hans Heinrichs, and, you know, and these guys are, you know, yeah, on the mountain. It's like, no, I want something unique. So I love Doug Pinnick's voice, and I want to hear him singing over some inside music. Like, you know, I love King's Axe. They're so incredible.
Right.
But what if I just did my sort of, you know, inside pop hard rock writing, and had his incredible voice on that. So, you know, Frontiers did not like that record.
It's crazy to me.
But then they liked it once it sold like a lot for them, and they actually asked for another one when they almost didn't pay us because they thought it was terrible. And then, you know, they ended up loving it. So they did ask us to do another one. And Kip's always so busy now and all that, but I'd love to work with Doug Pinnick, man. It was such an honor to work with Doug. The best part of making that record was just this one time when I said, Doug, at the end of this song, can you do one of your patented screams? You know, that big, it's you start from low and you that thing that he does, man. And he said, oh yeah, sure, no problem. And he went into it. I just had goosebumps, and I, initiated it.
That's amazing. I always wish there was like I was like, where's the follow-up album to this? And then it just never happened.
It kind of went away,
And people might not know that Kip he was the arranger.
Yeah, he arranged it.
Yeah.
I had riffs. He just said, take that, put it here, take this, put it here. That's what he's great at, And I do have people coming to me and saying the greatest thing you've ever done is The Mob. Like, that's the best record I've ever heard.
That's gotta be
from
cool.
you. It's better. People like it better than Winger and stuff. I had about 5 people tell me that. Like, The Mob is the stuff.
And then, which kind of takes us to Whitesnake, and which I thought was interesting because you were in Whitesnake obviously with Doug, and then when Doug left, did you take over as music director?
I did.
Because then you got to do an album. I guess, how did your role change from when Doug was there to after with Whitesnake? Or sorry, when he was there and when he left?
It changed how it sounds like it changed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was music director. And Doug was music director before. So Doug made all the decisions for all those years. And then when he left, I called David and said, I'd like to be music director. And he said, fine, Rebel darling. It's not like you to have this kind of initiative, So I wanted it. I wanted to. I always wanted to write with David. So I lived with him for months, which was great. It was like The Odd Couple, unbelievable. We're 2 completely different people, and he would make fun of me for my beer drinking, but he loved my cooking, and I would make him great steaks on the grill and all kinds of stuff. What's for dinner, Rebel? And we'd go out a lot too, but it was a great honor to write with David. And I wrote the first single, which I was worried about the title. I wrote the music. I forget the riff. But he came in and said, what do you think of the title, Shut Up and Kiss Me? And I'm like, oh, gee, I don't know, David. Maybe that should be just the working title for now. But it ended up being the title. And he made it work.
Yeah. The final thing I want to ask you about is Black Swan. So we've talked a little bit about it, but another situation where just killer riffs, tone.
Black Swan's my baby. I come in there prepared. I spend a really, really long time, a huge amount of hours every single day, writing and writing and writing. I throw away 60, 70 ideas. Like, no. And I come in and I've got verses and choruses, maybe an intro for Jeff. And so I bring in 30 ideas that are all, my cream of the crop ideas. And Jeff picks the ones that he likes best because you need 10.
Yeah.
And then he's like, okay, we need a solo section. So he's great at arranging, like Kip, and he says, let's try the key of E. And he'll play the drum machine, and I'll just start going, And just start playing chords or a riff or whatever feels right. And I'll just keep playing, and Jeff will go, what's that? That's it. I mean, I'll just play, and something always comes out.
Just happens. Isn't that kind of how? What was the story about Down Incognito? was that?
Kip says it's one of the best riffs I ever wrote. Could be the best riff I ever wrote.
It's one of my top Reb riffs.
Oh, I think he went to get coffee or something.
Yeah,
like we were trying to write that song that was just this strummy song, and I didn't know it needed a riff. He said, this needs the greatest guitar riff ever, so I'm going to go get coffee. And he went and got coffee, and he came back, and I had written. Good riff. It sounds better if you chug the E. But you have to know that drums and bass are going boom, boom. There's another riff under it on the bass, right? So it sounds good, but it's just that, it's the Lynch note. But Lynch uses chords, right? But it just, that's a darn good riff. It was beamed into me. Thank you, whoever does that.
Yeah, that one's killer. And so, I will have another question about that riff here in just a second. But to stay on Black Swan, are we going to get a third album?
Yeah, there's a new single. I think it's September 28th. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So soon.
Yeah, but I think the album's not out until like Christmas time, like November, late November.
Oh, but this year.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's exciting then. I'm pumped up to hear that stuff.
I think.
Man, thank you so much for going overtime
sure.
and talking about all these riffs and everything. I really do appreciate you taking the time to do all this.
Well, Robert, I have never seen anyone who really appreciated my playing in the way that you do, because you notice things that no one else noticed about my playing and my songwriting. And I was really honored when I saw that, and it made me feel great. So thank you.
Well, that's the stuff that always fascinates. It's like I said, it's just the little things. Even having you sit here, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh, look at how he's holding his. You were changing how you held your pick, and I'm like, and it just seems like guys like you don't even notice that you're doing it. You just do it, and I'm like, I love watching that stuff. So thank you so much, Reb.
My pleasure. I had so much fun.
We roped him back in. The tapping lick that's in the intro of Down Incognito. That circular, like, crazy fading in and out.
It's easier than it sounds. It's like the hanging on riff. It's way easier than it sounds. But I made up a scale. Like, I played it for Kip, and he said, I don't know what that scale is. And he knows every scale. And he's like, that's a really weird scale. But I remember it. I remember it because any power chord like this, it just starts right here, and you just go a half step and then a whole step. And then you move your finger down one here. And then I add this. It's just cool. But it's these notes in E. So you just go, and then you double like that on one of them. You know, and it's like with the tapping thing, by the way, you can double up like, and then you can just do that, you know, and it kind of changes it up. This is all kinds of stuff you can do if you got this extra finger, you know, that's hard to do with your pinky. Yeah.
No, that's cool, man.
All right, cool.
Perfect. All right, gang, I think that is going to be it. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. A huge thank you again to Reb for taking the time to come over here and do this. Like I said in the intro, such a special video. So hopefully you guys dug it. Maybe we covered the riff that you always wanted to see. I tried to like throw in some real like some cool deep cut, you know, Reb Beach stuff in here, as well as some of the mainstream things. So other than that, I will see you all later. Bye, homies.